with true accounts of what they've seen. That's what I call journalism. Anybody can sit back in their office and pen a few thoughts on their opinions on the way the world is going. That's what I do. So I am paid to do what lots of British people do on the top deck of a bus, offer my opinions on things. And that's not a real job, as my father used often enough to remind me.
How long have you lived in the United Kingdom?
Well, I'm really a colonial boy. I was born in South Africa. My parents emigrated, intending to emigrate permanently to South Africa after the Second World War. They couldn't find a home in England. They didn't like the apartheid, the racial stuff in South Africa. They came back, but they came back with me. And then they found England too cold after South Africa, and they went to Cyprus, and then they went to southern Rhodesia, where I was mostly raised. And then I went to school in Swaziland, and then my family were posted to Jamaica, and then to Spain. So at the age of 18, I come back to England as a young man to go to university, who talks, as I talk now, with a very British accent, but who doesn't really understand or know the United Kingdom very well. I feel completely British because I belong to a generation for whom serving in the old empire was an entirely British thing to do. So I feel entirely British, but I didn't know England very well, and I've been learning it since.
When did you serve in Parliament as a member of the House of Commons?
I was elected, I think the third youngest in that intake, at the age of 29 in 1979, and I served for 7 years before resigning my seat between elections in order to take a job in television, doing very much what you're doing now, but not so well, I may say. That job bombed.
Why did it bomb?
In British television, I think it's true in America too, you need to be a little bit larger than life. You need to be a bit colourful, a bit of a comic book character to succeed, and all those people whom anybody has heard of in British television answer that description. They may be bright, I was bright enough. They may be articulate, I'm articulate enough, but there's also something memorable, cartoonable about them, and I led my program to an early grave.
Well, let me just ask this, Larry King has been on our television screens for years and years. He's about to retire to be replaced by a man named Piers Morgan.
And of course, that's what Piers is going to do. Well, Piers absolutely answers the profile I've just given of the person who succeeds in television. Piers is a secretly sensitive, secretly intelligent man, but he pretends to be a bit of a loudmouth, and he says all kinds of things that sound sometimes blundering and sound careless of whether he offends or not, and people love it. Yeah, but there's got to be intelligence behind the apparent stupidity, and that's for a popular TV presenter. That's what you want. You need the facade of stupidity so people feel they can relate to you, but underneath it you need intelligence, and Piers has that.
So what do we expect to see when he comes on the former Larry King show next year?
It'll be a mixture. He likes to get people talking about themselves and being a little bit emotional. I wouldn't call it Oprah Winfrey, but it's that sort of area. He got our Prime Minister Gordon Brown to cry a little while ago, our former Prime Minister. But he also likes to surprise and ambush people with questions that they are not expecting. And he's not afraid to go personal, deeply personal.
So, when you were in the House of Commons, what did you take away from there? What did you learn about the way, it's right, the House of Parliament right behind you, what did you learn about that institution?
I never entirely found my feet there. I failed at a lot of jobs in my life, and I would say that was one of them. What I learned about the House of Commons is firstly that it's a team game. There is a place for maverick individuals, one or two, but only one or two. Generally speaking, you get on well personally, you advance your own career, and you also achieve things politically and nationally as part of a team. If you don't have the idea of teamwork, if you don't have the idea of occasionally biting your lip and swallowing your own scruples, if you don't have the idea of